So if you're watching this video, you're probably wondering what exactly is MetaHero Universe, or maybe you do already know what it is and you're just completely confused by everything that's going on. Well, I can assure you, if you just watch this roughly 10-minute video, you're gonna have everything you need to know about the MetaHero Universe. You wanna know what's even quicker than 10 minutes? Hitting that like and subscribe button down below. All right, let's get into it. All right, so first of all, the MetaHero Universe and the associated NFTs revolve around two games that are currently being developed. The first one that I'm going to talk about, the Pixel Vault team is trying to build the first crypto-native AAA first-person shooter that will utilize the MetaHero NFTs as well as a blockchain currency called POW. The Pixel Vault team is trying to make this first-person shooter as big to compete with the likes of Call of Duty and Halo, except this will be crypto-native and all in the blockchain. The Pixel Vault team is no small four-person team. There's a growing team of 30 plus people, and they're also close to announcing a partnership with a game studio to actually build this game. The point I'm trying to make is this is not some small team blockchain pixelized game that's gonna fade into irrelevancy within, a year. Now, I will caution that very well this project could fail in the long term. However, it does have much more upside, I think, than some of these more smaller teams that kind of quickly just threw out a project that are, currently pumping in price right now. But you shouldn't expect this game to come out anytime in the near future. It could take several years to create, and the blockchain tech honestly really needs to improve and scale more before something like this is probably realistic. Now, the other game that is coming out soon in the second half of 2022 is the MetaHero blockchain game. This is a game that's going to gamify the POW token currency that I briefly touched on earlier. The POW token currency, we'll get into it a little bit deeper, but it's basically just a currency that you earn through staking your MetaHeroes, and in the future also going to be through staking your Sidekicks as well. As of Q1 right now, there's not too many details released on the specifics of this game. However, we are expected that the game's going to be similar in scope to something like Wolf Game. Again, this isn't kind of their big grand vision long-term game. This is more something to hold people over until hopefully they come out with that AAA game that's going to compete with Call of Duty and Halo. Alright, so now you're probably wondering a little bit about the MetaHero history and where this all sort of began. So this started in August of 2021 when Pixel Vault's Punks comic holders could buy a MintPass #1 at 0.08 ETH. And this was based on a July 2021 snapshot. And then in September of 2021, this MintPass #1 could then be burned to receive what's called a Generative Identity. So what the MetaHero Generative Identities are is there's 9,678 of them. They were all generated at Mint when you burn that MintPass #1. And you've got a combination of heroes, villains, mutants, and the traits of all these were sort of scrambled up from what the core identities are. And so that moves us into MetaHero core identities. So these are actually going to be the premium characters of the whole MetaHero IP. It's really central to the Pixel Vault strategy when it comes to MetaHero. With these, they're much more exclusive. There's only 146 of them, and all of them were individually illustrated by former Marvel artist Chris Wall, who has also worked for a bunch of other major well-known IPs. And then another big benefit to the core identities is that everybody who holds one is entitled to what's called a Pixel Pass, which will allow them to mint all Pixel Vault NFTs for free, basically for until the end of time. So now what you'll learn with Pixel Vault is there's always a lot of game theory and decision making that you have to do, especially when it comes to burning or holding a lot of the NFTs that you have. So with the MintPass #1, holders had to make the decision whether they wanted to burn their MintPass or to hold it. So if they burned it, they would receive a generative identity that you see here. And then based on a snapshot of holding that generative identity, they also received a planet token for holding that. And then the planet tokens are also going to get you a sidekick here as well. Now, if you didn't burn the MintPass, what you have is a low chance to receive one of these core identities in a raffle. And again, there's only 146 core identities, so these are much more premium and go for a much higher price than a generative identity. However, it's a very low chance, and you essentially are choosing to miss out on receiving the free planet and the free sidekick. However, the snapshot was already taken for the giveaway of the planet token of the generative identity that you held, so you're not really missing out on that anymore if you're still choosing to hold your MintPass. However, what you are going to be missing out on right now is being able to stake your generative identity for the POW token. So the longer you wait to not burn the MintPass, the more of the POW tokens that you're missing out on. Alright, and so that moves us into what exactly the planetary DAO tokens are. So these NFTs represent proportional ownership of not only their own planets, and what that means is in the game each planet kind of is a own game and environment of its own. And then they also represent ownership of the UPDAO, which controls the whole MetaHero universe. So as you can see in the table below, the number of tokens per planet is based on its size, with Jupiter being the biggest planet, so that also has the highest number of tokens. And then the Moon and Pluto are the smallest ones, so those have the lowest number of tokens. So now how these DAO tokens were distributed was 20% of them were actually given for free to the Pixel Vault community. So like for me, for example, I held MintPass, a MetaHero, and a Pixel Vault Founders DAO token. And since I held all those, I had essentially 3 entries into these raffles, and I ended up receiving actually 9 planets for free for holding these Pixel Vault NFTs. The 4 Pixel Vault NFTs that were eligible for these free giveaways were a MetaHero Identity, MintPass #1, a Pixel Vault Founders DAO token, and then also a Punks comic. And then 35% of them were available for public minting for a certain time. They did not mint out, and the ones that were remaining all went to the UPDAO. So essentially the community still owns all the Planet DAO tokens that did not get minted out before they closed it. And then the other 45% is retained by Pixel Vault. And sort of the biggest reason for this is that when it comes to the decision making and the voting, we still are going to want Pixel Vault to kind of have a huge hand in the decision making, with the community ultimately having the final say, having 55% of the votes. Now you do notice on the chart here that the Moon is different when it comes to how these were given away, and so that moves us into the Moon DAO token giveaway. The only way that you could receive a Moon DAO token was to burn a Punks comic #1. So the Moon tokens are an extremely exclusive planet compared to the rest of them. And then another time when some of the planet tokens were given away was with the Jupiter DAO tokens. So when the mint was open for the planet tokens, anybody that minted one, that is they bought through the mint and not on secondary, actually received a free Jupiter DAO token as well. And so this is a way to get people to mint before they close the minting period. Another thing I briefly touched on earlier is the UPDAO. So this can get kind of confusing. So what the UPDAO is it's a central DAO that controls the whole MetaHero universe. So all the planet tokens together are controlling the UPDAO, and then as I said, each individual planet kind of runs and governs itself. The best way to look at this is the planet DAO tokens individually, those govern their planets, whereas the UPDAO is all the planets together governing the whole universe. So you kind of got a federal government with the UPDAO, and then each planet is like its own state. And then just to briefly touch on the UPDAO token distribution, so really who has the biggest share of votes when it comes to governing the whole MetaHero universe. Pixel Vault gets 45% because they do have 45% of the planet tokens. And then it's also worth noting that the Pixel Vault Founders DAO tokens do get 9.8% of it as well. And then the rest of the percentages is based on the number of planet tokens per planet. So now one of the biggest things to get into here is what exactly are sidekicks. So sidekicks as of January are not released yet, but they're supposed to be released here in February. So what sidekicks are tier 2 characters, so they're not going to be as exclusive as the generative MetaHero identities, or especially not the core identities, but they are going to play a big part in the MetaHero universe, and they really are a way to expand the community and get more people to be able to participate into the MetaHero universe, as there's going to be up to 60,000 of these sidekicks that you're going to be able to mint through a MintPass #2. Now, able to get a MintPass #2, you're either going to need to A, have a planet token or a MetaHero identity, where for each one of those that you hold, you're going to get one of these MintPass #2s for free. And then another thing that's worth noting is that these sidekicks are going to be deflationary, where you can burn your MintPass #2 or possibly the sidekick, either or. You're going to be able to burn them to level up your character. So for example, if you had 4 MintPass #2s, you could burn all 4 of those, and then in return you would get this level 4 sidekick. And it kind of remains to be seen what actually changes when you go from a level 1 to, for example, a level 4 sidekick. I'm assuming the look of the NFT itself is going to be different, and then also it'll probably be much stronger when it comes to the game, or possibly when you stake your sidekick to earn POW tokens here in the second half of 22, maybe you earn more POW tokens because it's a level 4 versus a level 1. So this kind of moves us into staking MetaHero identities for POW. So POW is going to be the in-game currency for the MetaHero AAA first-person shooter, and then it also is going to obviously play a huge role for this blockchain game that's coming out this year. So there is only going to be 1 billion POW tokens ever created, and the way to receive these POW tokens is going to be through staking. So the first staking pool is going on right now and will end in Q2 of 2022, where 20% of all the POW tokens are going to be released. And as of right now, the only thing that you can stake to earn these POW tokens is the MetaHero Identities. However, though, if you don't have a MetaHero Identity, you are going to be able to participate in staking pool 2. That's probably going to begin in Q3 of 22, where if you have a Sidekick, you're going to be able to stake that. And likely this is all going to be a part of this MetaHero blockchain game that's coming out in Q3. So these gamified mechanics are going to be what's involved in earning POW here in the second half of 2022. So if you guys really enjoyed the video and find yourselves wanting to get into the MetaHero universe, be sure to hit that subscribe button, as there's going to be a lot more MetaHero content that I'm going to be putting out.